I'm so excited and happy to be speaking with you today, Kira. I'm so honored that you are a part of this exhibition, and I thought that this video could just be a way for us to invite in your voice and have you share some words about yourself. And to start off, I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself, who you are, and the ways that you show up in this world.
Of course, I am so grateful this is happening. As I said before, I'm so honored to be in conversation with you, Yoli, and Demian. To me, my practice is something that is, I see it as a vision of love. I see it as a vision of community. I see it as a vision of a future and ecologies that I want to inhabit. So for all those reasons, this is very special, and yeah, just super excited to be here. So I am an artist, technologist, researcher, writer. I guess that's the official bio. And I'm really interested in my work. I'm really interested in exploring themes of ancestry, futurity, thinking about multidimensional ecologies and constellating constellating beauty. Um, I come from a Guarani tradition, so and my culture is just there isn't really a word for art. And art is kind of this westernized concept, right? Because we see art everywhere. It's embedded in in the way we adorn ourselves, in the jewelry, in the clothing, but also in like every material and a lot of stuff that we do. Um, but yeah, I'm an artist, regardless, and this is what I love to do, to create spaces for possibilities, and especially using art as a vehicle, um, in pointing towards another future. Because as you know, indigenous peoples across the world, unfortunately, have endured genocide and the effects of colonization. The global south is still under a very necropolitical institutions. So yeah, I feel like there is resistance in creating these spaces. And to me, art is really that. It can be a sacred transmission, and that is something I learned from you after
Hmm.
I took your workshop
Yes.
on art as spells, which was very important for my practice. And yeah, I feel like that workshop was also like it's just one of those synchronicities, right? That happens, and
Yeah.
yeah, um, it opened beautiful constellations.
Thank you so much for sharing all this. Your words are so poetic, and I just love hearing how you share about your work and the intention behind it. It's so potent, and I am so excited about the pieces that you shared for this exhibition. And there is so much, those that constellation of beauty is so profound in the work, and also being able to envision and inhabit other possibilities, other realities, other ecosystems and futures. And so I'd love for you to share a little bit about the work that you contributed, anything that feels important for you to share about it.
Yes. So I've been working with AI over the last few years, and this particular series that I presented for this exhibition is a series of portraits featuring ancestors in lands of water and earthly earthly, I don't know how I would describe this. These are like emotional landscapes. They are landscapes about hope and prosperity. And my exploration with AI, something that I've been seeing a lot is, how it can replicate certain images when it comes to racial biases, but also how it has this tendency to amalgamate culture into, sometimes stereotypical images. And obviously this is informed because of the database, right? And if we think what's the database is images of art history, images of anthropology, architecture, and all this realms that have in one way or another supported, colonial projects. So it just makes sense that certain images and certain imaginaries will be replicated again. So yeah, so in my work, I mean, one of the things that I try to work on is move past beyond those biases, but also I'm really interested in, creating a universe in which my ancestors can, just feel empowered and, uh, constellate their super bloom.
Yeah.
And yeah, water is very important to me, and this particular series is addressing how we relate to water. You can think of water in the symbolic realms of emotions, but also, this capitalist mindset sees as a resource, and in particular when it comes to uh, the lands where I come from, there is this really, reservoir of water, which is called Guifero Guarani. Um, and there are certain custodians of land, and we're having conversations about how that can be that is something to look out for,
Hmm.
and that is something to consider in terms of how we protect the land and how we take care of it. Um, So I really wanted to address those themes, but also thinking about water in the semiotics of water as a possibility for transmutation. Um, I think I entangled a lot of things there, or
Yeah.
not.
I love the web that you're weaving. Yeah. And, I really think, I'm thinking a lot about what you just shared about water, with emotions and also, it being connected to specific spaces and also as you're working with the imaginary too. And I think I also connect the notion of memory a lot with water, and I'm kind of connecting that a little bit to what you were just sharing around these databases or these like memories of colonization or memories of our cultural production or culture bearing, right? That you tap into when you're working with AI, and as you're naming that there are biases, and your intention as an artist is to work with these systems to kind of get beyond these biases and create other possibilities for your ancestors.
Yes, and when we go back to the histories of indigenous peoples, there's a lot of anthropological photography, and something that I really learned in art school is, and I was seeing a lot of images, is, like there's a very specific way of seeing and portraying a difference. Um, and that is something that I really want to be mindful when working with AI, and when generating images of my ancestors, my techno ancestors, um, that I want them to feel hopeful. I want to convey that emotion in those images, as opposed to, the colonial gaze tends to classify certain things, but also confine them in the aesthetics, which, as we know, can be very dangerous. Um, so yeah, I'm really interested in challenging that that aspect of how to engage ethically with these images, and also um, how to make them meaningful. So yeah, absolutely, it is a conversation about memory.
Yeah. I'm curious, if there is a way that do you have like an internal compass or a guide or a way that you feel into when, as you're working with AI, when you kind of get a sense that you've gotten to that place that you're wanting to get to? And especially, I'm asking this question as, imagining that there might be other folks who come to this exhibition who are also interested in AI, but like, yeah, but maybe can't get to that place. I'm curious, like, if how you have been able to like find this place, or how do you know when you get there? Is there like something that you can share around that?
How do I get to the images, you
Yeah, like,
mean?
yeah, how do you know when you like have created something that you're like, okay, this is like really aligning with my intention? Like, I'm curious if there's something that you feel or you just like know it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I see AI also as um we can think of it as a potential subjectivity. Um I guess that we as indigenous peoples, well, the Western world is kind of catching up with that, but we as indigenous peoples understand that there's an intimacy in everything. So working with AI, I see it as a process of collaboration, in the sense that I also be of the way I approach prompting and generating these images. It's also like being mindful of AI's energy for this,
Mm,
as um, as an element that comes from land, it comes from stones.
yeah.
Um, so to me, it is really, when I get into the creative space, it's really what words, senses, images, feelings, what lighting, what textures do I want to see? And I want to make sure to include all of that. And there's obviously certain technical aspects when you're trying to generate specific things, faces, or like particular textures. But also during the process, being able to have that intuitive vision of the being able to connect to your intuition, in the sense that, okay, you see how the images are going, and really trusting yourself in the direction that you want those images to take, and where do you want them to go, and really engage in that conversation with the machine, um and also know that there are moments that you should pause and then come back to the work. For me, my compass is really, um I want these images to really tell me a story. I want these images to really um tell me about this place and what is happening in this place. And you get to a certain place with the things that you write, but also the machine is getting to a certain place. And to me, the beautiful process is where the beauty of the process is really when you can get to the symbiotic aspects, and in thinking together. Um, it's kind of a little bit complex to explain, but yeah, it's really. being able to put your finger in the wind or in the keyboard
Mm.
and yeah, connecting with your intuition, but also talking to the machine.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing all this. And yeah, would love for you to share because you brought up the word animacy, and I feel it's like, really connected to a lot of what you're sharing. And I'm curious, like, if you wouldn't mind sharing, like, what animacy means for you, or like how you see the world through the lens of animacy. Like, I'm just because if there's anyone that like doesn't really connect with this word or doesn't know it, I would love to hear you share a little bit about what that means for you.
So everything is alive. To me, that is really what animacy is. And when you understand that the world around you is alive, you also understand that why there should be a need to take care of it. And you also understand that everything has a certain type of intelligence. And when I think about what we have learned in the West is that humans are at the top of this hierarchy, and maybe then you have animals, and then you don't know what you have, right? And then you have, and when you understand this, you have all these imaginaries that are created around anthropocentric imagination, like aliens and monsters and so on. And really certain archetypes of division between us and them. But when you understand that there is animacy in everything around you, you understand that you can speak to the trees, you can speak to the mountains, and you can learn something from them. Um, and also you understand that you as a human are hosting so many living parts inside you, microbiome cells, all of these things that are also inhabiting your own ecosystem. um, so I'm thinking about the ways of taking care of one. The way I take care of myself, it's also the way I would like to for other people to take care of the world. And land is alive, and life deserves our care. It's our home. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah, very much so. Just really grateful for you to share that because it is, especially for folks that grew up in the West, it's such a powerful perspective to be able to tune into. And I think so much about, growing up myself feeling so alone. And and I think that a lot of that feeling of being alone was really that the feeling of an oppressive Western individualistic narrative that I was sitting with that wasn't real, but that I was very much like forced upon. And so I'm really grateful for you to share about animacy and how much it's opened up for you to really tune into it, and also the ways that, as you're saying, it shapes how we see things, it shapes how we imagine things. And I really see your work as um, creating, yeah, those new imaginaries, those new possibilities. Like I even am looking at the beings that are behind you, like, and I like wonder to myself, like, is this a mycelial being? Is it like an ocean being? Is it a mermaid? Like, how many? Yeah, like what? And it really does like kind of bring up this question of like, what is consciousness, right? Especially as you're talking about these like hierarchies that we've like been internalizing, growing up in places where we are told that there is this hierarchy. I really feel like your work is helping to expand and dissolve and transmute. And you brought up that word transmutation, transmute that hierarchy, transmute this separation in many ways. And Yeah, I'm curious, like, what your work, how has your work been received, or how has it been for you? I know that you've been, sharing your work in a lot of different spaces, and so I'm curious, like, how you've witnessed your work being received by others.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for the attention that my work has received, particularly this year. Um, it has been mostly positive. I would say I'm really it always brings me joy, obviously, to see my work in the screens or either in different iterations or online.
Yeah,
Uh, and um, and something that really brings me joy is the conversations that I'm able to have with people, um, either on the technical aspects or the more poetic and symbolic meanings behind the work. Um, I've always worked with technology, so when I started working with AI, it just felt like everything kind of blossomed in a different way. Um, and last year was just the start of it, and this year it kind of I don't know, it really felt like so many trees communicating with each other, to take that reference.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, it feels very mycelial, I would say. It's when you're able to do what you love, you really start seeing that what you generate resonates with other people, resonates to a certain frequency, and spaces open up and possibilities open up, and most importantly, you can get to make beautiful connections with people. And I'm very touched by the words and the support that I've received online and also with the people that I got to share in person. It's been very lovely, I would
yeah.
say.
I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, and it's made me so happy to see how many people have really um, embraced your work and see your work as really important. And it's definitely one of the reasons why you were one of the first people I thought of to invite to this exhibition. I feel like, especially as my intention as a curator with this exhibition is to offer this to the Two Spirit and Indigiqueer communities to
Mhm.
have this be like a reference point, have this be a place where other Two Spirit and Indigiqueer artists can come and connect with this work. And with that in mind, like I'm curious if there's anything that comes forward for you that you feel is important to share to other artists or other people who might come and see this work, who are maybe on their own path or starting to maybe wonder, am I an artist? Do I want to go down this path? What's the importance of this? Like, yeah, I'm just curious if there's anything that you feel you would like to share.
Wow. So I asked myself that for a long time, and truly the compass that has, I guess, really served me and changed my perspective. Um, what has guided me is like, I obviously have my vision board, but trust your happiness, trust your God.
Mm,
Trusting your God is trusting your happiness. And I guess it's really a process of what do you want to see in the world? Obviously, I'm really interested in temporality, and I so I can speak from there.
yeah.
But how do you want to see yourself? What are the things that you respond to? How do you feel? Um, about certain textures, about certain colors. To me, with AI, that has been my process. Really like having that feedback loop
Mm,
with the machine has been really important to me. So yeah, I would tell people trust your happiness, trust your gut. And I guess also community um, is a big part of this. Find people who are going to be supportive of your practice, who are going to speak your name in different rooms, people who are going to be there to, engage in conversation with you. To me, that has been very important, and it's something that I see that has been very transformative for me, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm curious, especially with you bringing up how AI has been something that has been, you've been in like conversation with, or that has been like a reflection or a mirror. Like, I'm curious, like, yeah, is there any part of your process that you feel has also like informed your sense of self, your sense of identity? Like, has that shifted as you've been working, or do you feel like that's something that you came into the work already kind of feeling clear about before you started working with AI?
Mm, can you reframe the question?
Yeah, yeah. With AI being like a mirror or a reflection, like, do you feel like has it like been in conversation with your sense of self or sense of identity? Has that like at all kind of been in conversation? Or do you feel like when you came to AI, you already had a clear sense of yourself and it's only like kind of and that's kind of been like you've brought that into AI. Does that make sense?
Yeah, actually, this is a very interesting question. Yes. I so when I was in art school and I guess really all my life, I was really interested in particular colors and textures and figures. And at some point, I stopped doing art, like visual art, and then just started focusing more on my writing practice. And then AI came to me, and then I just realized, wow, what is this tool for manifestation? And and I guess we also need to reframe when we talk about it as a tool, right? Um, but yeah, I it really became clear to me that when you're working with AI, you have to be very mindful. Um, because in a way it was created as something to prototype, right? To prototype um, machines, devices, and it also has military, scientific applications, and so on, as many things in capitalism. Um, so yeah, I started working with this, and I was just very intentional that I wanted to create something that made me feel happy and expansive. Um, because you don't want to, engage with imaginaries that are, well, me personally, I don't want to engage with utopic or dystopic imaginaries that they are both kind of two sides of the same coin.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I wanted to be very mindful about that, and also understand that it is, I would say, it's a very sensitive technology, and yeah, I would say that people should be very mindful of this. I would say that AI and my art practice has definitely mirrored a lot of um, what has happened over the last year. And it mirrors mostly my inner self. And then also, well, yeah, this is more like anecdote, but when I started working with it, I was just very surprised at how I would like generate images of people that I um knew in real life. That was very weird, but
Wow.
also I'm not surprised that happened at all.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say this definitely expanded me into more of what I wanted to be. Um, so that is definitely something really beautiful.
Mm. Thank you so much, Kira. I, really am so honored to have you in this exhibition and so grateful for you sharing yourself and your time and space in this way. And I'm so excited to hear what people have to say about your art and for them to see it and hear your words about it. I know it's gonna really support so many people, and just want to say thank you again for saying yes and being a part of this exhibition.
Of course, and thank you for creating space and a constellation for this to happen. You are over there in your beautiful constellation. Yeah, I'm so happy, and I encourage everyone to see the work. I'm honored to be with all these artists showing this very magical, and it's truly lovely.
Yeah, wonderful. So I'm